Welcome back. And well, it's a matter of too much rain and too little cricket, or at least a little less than what we expected in the first test. Nothing whatsoever on day five, and that is it. It ends in a draw. 157 runs were what India needed on day five to register a win. 9 wickets were what England needed on the last day to make it 1-0 for themselves. But it didn't happen. Didn't happen for either of them. And we have the series still at 0-0. With me, of course, our senior editor, Abhishek Mukherjee, and our principal correspondent, Sandipan Banerjee. Welcome, gents. What were your thoughts with cricket? And first of all, let's just get the elephant in the room addressed, because do we have, any chance, by any chance, if a test series of this magnitude and this large in size, can we end it without any rain at all in English summer?
I mean, of course, I'm not a meteorological, what do you call it, meteorological weather expert. I'm not a weather expert, so that's easier to pronounce.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not a weather expert, but I cannot remember a full English summer without rain. So rain will happen. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But when it happens on day five, it's altogether a different ball game, because the fans were expecting a lot, probably a thrilling finish, because all those stats. Okay, we didn't finish it really well when we had to chase 190 odd runs or some 200 odd runs then and there. What were your thoughts, Sandipan? I mean, the game was there for the taking for India, or England will say it was there for the taking for them. But we can say whatever we want to. The rain has given its final word.
I mean, I think we have been pretty lucky with the rain in this so far in this test match, because there are yellow warning issued, I think, for day 2 or day 3, but we
Day
had
three, day
full
three.
days play.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we were extremely lucky with that. But I think Indian fans should not be very disappointed. There are 4 more matches to come, and the weather prediction, at least for the Lord's States, is very good. Remember the last tour, we had a very terrible Lord's test with India playing 2 spinners on a wet wet
Yeah.
conditions. But I can remember another Lord's test back in 2007.
Yes,
Rain
yes,
rain saved the game for India, and India went on to win the series. So Indian fans should
Yeah.
not be
yes, yes.
should not be very disappointed with the English rain, I could rather say.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not so good for the people who predicted the series will go to one team or the other in 4-1 or 3-2 margin, but that's a different thing. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
That
all of it
is,
later on.
I mean, they predict the cricket. They can't predict the weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't, especially the English weather. But then we did have cricket, and we did have pretty good cricket for the
Yes.
4 days that we saw the action. Of course, there were intervals where the rain came in between before as well. But then overall, if you look at the story, first thing that comes into mind, just the second time in Indian cricket history that all 20 wickets in the test match have been taken by pacers. And it's not been that long ago when the first incident took place. It was in 2018 South Africa, both under the sort of the same bowling attack that we are praising these days. What's your thought on the Indian fast bowling contingent going into this test series,
Ashwin
or
and
going into the series?
Jadeja, Ashwin and Jadeja are two of India's all-time great cricketers, and this Indian fast bowling attack is so good that
Yeah.
they can't play Ashwin and Jadeja together.
That's what Kohli said after the match yesterday as well. The template is going to remain almost the same in the series.
Yes, if you can't play Ashwin and Jadeja together, you really have something special. I mean,
Yeah.
see, the home team wins the toss, decides to bat, and then gets bowled out for 183 against fast bowlers, with your lead fast bowler sitting out, the leading wicket taker among all these fast bowlers. Even then, you're
Yeah.
bowled out for 183. It is that good a pace attack.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and even the, it's not the fact that Jadeja didn't bowl; it's the fact that the rest of the bowlers probably made it look like he didn't have to. because the way even Siraj bowled in the beginning. I know there were talks that Shami and Bumrah should have bowled in the beginning, but then it justified that by taking Burns' wicket in that first spell, and probably bowled a lot more than people expected him to, given that Shami and Bumrah have been India's one of the leading ones to as far as this fast bowling lineup is concerned. But Sandipan, we talked about this even before the World Test Championship final, that place for Siraj in this team might be a little tough to find, but it's not unjustified.
Yeah, absolutely not unjustified, especially after what he had done in Australia. But I would still feel that Ashwin has a role to play in this series, especially if you
Yes,
see in the
yes.
second innings when England were playing counter-attacking cricket. That was the point when spinners could have, I mean, Ashwin, Jadeja from both ends could have had much more impact than probably what the pacer had. So I guess going forward, probably not at Lords, but going forward in the other three Test matches, we might see both of them playing or at least I think they have to play Ashwin. I mean, you
Yes,
cannot
yes.
sit Ashwin out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
These
how they will accommodate him, but they have to play Ashwin.
the one problem. See, one good thing that happened here is Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj. I won't say they batted brilliantly. Bumrah played some phenomenal shots, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But they batted better than what we would have expected them to, say, a couple of years ago. I think the Indian fast bowlers are scoring, even if they add 5 runs to their average, and India plays all four of Ishant, Shami, Bumrah, and Siraj. So that is, even if they can score 5 runs more than what they do, that is 20 runs per innings and 40 runs per match. And I think they are pushing their batting up that extra bit. And once they do that, all four of them can play together. The one reason India may have to pick Shardul again is his batting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
I think
the fun,
Sardul also fit into the things quite nicely. He bowled well.
he bowled.
He got important wickets in the middle. Made that Duke's ball swing. I mean, he
Yes,
was swinging it brilliantly. So I guess, and his natural
agree.
angle is also like is
Yes,
ideal for a Duke's ball, and length and angle.
but if it's a flat track, and from time to
Yeah,
time we see flat tracks, I think Shardul. But then Shardul's batting may give him the edge. I mean, see, you can't have someone like Ishant or Shami batting at 8. That is too
yeah.
high. If you have Pant at 6, Jadeja at 7, Jadeja or Ashwin at 7, you can't have the four fast bowlers at 8, 9, 10, 11. I think Vikram Rathore has been doing a splendid job. All the fast bowlers are batting better than what they used to, say, a year ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they
But I
but they
think I
still.
think yeah.
Yeah, please go
Yeah,
on.
I think that if we get a track something similar to what seen in Southampton, I think India should play two spinners.
Yes, I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah. Yeah. And we
So
saw
probably
the way.
Oval and Manchester are the two venues where they can think about this combination, because
Again,
there have been lot
Manchester's.
of cricket on those grounds of late. 100 is being played on those grounds and all those cricket. So the pitch can be a little more, there can be some assistance for the slow bowlers.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can understand. India has 4 world-class fast bowlers, 2 world-class spinners, and you can play only 5 of them. You can't play
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good problem to have,
Yeah, it's a good
because we
problem.
saw the way they batted in the first innings. I mean, this is just something that we wouldn't have expected in the last tour or the tours before that.
Yeah,
33 runs between Bumrah and Siraj for that partnership. Just 5 runs added by England's bottom three, by the way, in that first part, the
this
first
is
innings.
this the exact reverse typically happens. It happens the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
The opposition tail frustrates India, not the
Yeah.
other way around. It was
Yeah.
a refreshing change to see the reverse happening.
Definitely. And that's
For England, I just want to ask Abhishek, for England, why is Broad batting ahead of Anderson?
I don't know. He can still hit those. Broad. It's, that is probably, see. Varun Aaron has done two things in international cricket. First, he at one point held the best bowling figures by an Indian on debut in ODIs.
Yeah.
And the second, I think there are two parts of Stuart Broad's batting career before
Yeah.
being hit by Varun Aaron and after.
Yes.
But yeah, Broad can still hit those fours and sixes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we have seen, if Leach plays, then he bats ahead. Sometimes bats ahead of Broad.
Yeah. Leach even opened the innings.
And on that note, we have a question regarding Indian bowling here. Siraj and Shardul deserve a long run in
Absolutely.
Test cricket, no matter what happens. Thoughts? So I'll let you
Absolutely.
two gents give your thoughts on this, of course.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, they won. Yeah, Abhishek, please go on.
Siraj, I mean, where do you fit in? If you fit in Siraj and Shardul, India, I mean, Shami and Bumrah, we know what they're like. And Ishant, once he is fit, Ishant Sharma still, I think he has 46 wickets in England. Only Kapil Dev in Australia has 50 wickets among Indians in an overseas country. Ishant in England is a more than potent force. So Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah, if all three play, you can't add Siraj and Shardul to that mix. You can't play 5 fast bowlers.
Yeah.
But then that
I
is the
mean,
thing.
I mean,
can.
can't they just the players who are
Rotate.
playing multi-format cricket, they can be rotated, right? So someone I know the Siraj also plays that, Sardul also plays that, but we can raise someone like Bumrah, we can raise someone like Shami, and then play probably at home, where spinners have more role to play than fast bowlers. We can play someone like Sardul and Siraj more than probably Bumrah and all, just
Home
to
you play
rotate the
Umesh.
things.
Home you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Umesh
of course.
Yadav,
Yeah, of course.
who
He will hit.
somehow managed. Umesh somehow, even after India does not pick up say India picks up 1 wicket in the first 70 overs or 80 overs.
Oh no.
10 overs left in the day. India have taken 2 wickets in the entire day. All shoulders are dropping. I mean, it's a long day. And Umesh, with the second new ball after 80 overs in the field, still charges in with the same
Yeah.
energy as he did in the first spell. You need
And
a bowler like that.
he can hit those sixes,
Yes.
down the order.
Yeah, it's good to see that much of depth, and I think it surely is going to come into play given that India is going to play a lot more white ball cricket as well. It's good to have large number of options with your side when you're playing
I
all
never,
the formats.
I never thought I'll see a day when India will have 6-7 world-class fast bowlers, and uh, we'll actually be considering a situation that we'll actually feel for fast bowlers on the on the lines that here is a world-class fast bowler who is not getting enough opportunities. I never thought this would happen. Shardul, had he been playing cricket, say even 10, 15, 20 years ago, he would have played 50 test matches by now. But right now, there is no slot.
Yeah,
India have 4-5 fast bowlers already.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And on that
And
note,
I think we do not thank, the Indian fans do not thank Bharat Arun enough for this. Not only Bharat Arun, the entire system, the structure that has gone
Yeah.
into this, they are
Pipeline.
It's incredible the work they has done. Bumrah is from Gujarat. Siraj is from Hyderabad. Shami is from Bengal. They are all from different. Ishant is from Delhi. They are all from different places in the country.
yeah,
Ranji Trophy, and through domestic matches, through India A matches, the entire structure that has built this formidable attack from handpicked them across the country, backed them to result in a situation. See, understand this. Akshar Patel, who took wickets, I mean, he was almost taking wickets at will at home. Now he's nowhere.
Yes.
I mean, that is
I
the
think
kind of bench strength. You can, if Jadeja gets injured, you pick Akshar Patel, he takes 20, 30 wickets in 3 tests and he's done. There's no place for him anymore. That is what champion attacks are like.
yeah. I think a lot credit needs to be given to the domestic pitches as well.
Yes,
In the Ranji
yes.
Trophy, we have seen fast bowlers are dominating these days. Even all there are pitches where there's some bounce. For example, the Eden Garden wicket, or you can go to Hyderabad, the wicket over there also. So all these pitches have started assisting the fast bowlers more than the spinners,
Hmm.
and this is that new train that has come in Indian domestic cricket, and this is probably the most important thing. Then that's why people these days now they want to become fast bowlers. Otherwise, in India has always been a batting country. People wanted to become always a batsman, either a batsman or a spin bowler.
See, I'll tell you a bit of history here. In the 1970s, 1980s, see, Indian cricket was dominated by spinners bowling. So
Yeah,
in the 1960s and early 1970s, Abid Ali, Solkar, the entire seam attack that came through the ranks. They had to bat well, and they were also excellent fielders. Abid Ali and Solkar were two of India's best fielders. They opened bowling, and they were more than capable batters, right? And after that, Karsan Ghawdi came. He was the same. Kapil Dev, we know, the 1983 team that won the World Cup had Kapil Dev, Roger Binney, Madan Lal, and Balwinder Sandhu. Balwinder Sandhu batted at 11. Okay, Sandhu would have batted at number 8 in this side. So that was India's number 11. Fast bowlers, Indian seam bowlers had to bat. This was followed by Manoj Prabhakar, who opened batting for India. Chetan Sharma, who had a ODI 100. So this used to be the trend. Now, this trend stopped when India started producing fast bowlers who could be in this side for bowling alone, like Srinath and Zahir Khan. They did
Srinath
not
was a
need to
decent batter.
become a decent batter, but he would not. You would not back him to open batting like Prabhakar or Bini. Yeah, Bini actually opened batting for Karnataka in Ranji Trophy. So, I mean, that was the level expected. Now, Indian fast bowlers can get into the side on bowling alone.
Yeah.
They are that good. So that is the evolution that has happened.
Yeah.
Because and since fast bowling is now, I think this happened starting with the generation that saw Kapil Dev bowl. Okay, now we can have a future bowling out and out fast.
Yeah.
So Srinath started that generation, and then we saw Zahid Khan come up. Since then, since Srinath, Agarkar could bat a bit. Irfan Pathan was a decent batter, but generally they were in the side because they could bowl well. Uh, but yeah,
I can
I
remember
can.
Zahir Khan winning India few games with his bat.
Zahir, Zahir, I think hit 4 6s.
Fourth,
That was
sixth
with
place
Olonga,
against
right? Olonga.
Henry Olonga. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and he once added, and he had that huge partnership with Tendulkar in Bangladesh.
And he against Australia in one of the ODIs, low scoring ODIs, I think India were like chasing 190 or 180
This
something.
was
And
this was the Murli Karthik match.
Yeah. The
yeah,
seven
Murli
wicket game.
Karthik and Zahir Khan. Yeah.
Zahid Khan, yes, but
The
these were
seven
one
wicket
outs.
game and the 7 wicket series, I think. It was a 7 game series. Yeah.
7 game series. The last match, Murli Karthik picked up 6 wickets, and then he won it, and then he was there with the bat. You will find
Yeah.
these things. Say in the 2014 Trent Bridge Test, I think Bhuvaneshwar scored a 50 from number 9. Shami scored a 50 from number 11. But that was a
Yeah.
flat pitch. Even Anderson scored a
Yeah,
50.
yeah. Yeah.
But James Anderson would have seen from a close quarters the display of how Jasprit Bumrah Yorker feels like, probably in Test cricket as well. Was nice to see that he waited for some time after making sure that the bails had fallen. Jasprit Bumrah waited right there. Probably was looking for Anderson to say something well bowled, but we don't know. We will never know. And on that count, of course, we have now questions regarding the batting side of India's display in this Test match. Question coming from Ritam Chatterjee, a big member of our team. He's asked that should Kohli bat at number 3 and Ashwin in for Pujara? Now that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting, because Pujara, as we know, as we got to see the last bit of cricket in this Test match, was looking the more of an aggressor than Rohit Sharma did in the middle. He was scoring runs with quite ease, and it looked like he was well set for a day 5. But what are your thoughts on this?
I don't think India are likely to change this combination anytime soon. But there is truth in the fact that Pujara, Rahane, and Kohli have not been the greatest middle order since 2019 or 20. A lot will depend. I mean, Kohli, we discussed discussed this ahead of the test. Kohli is probably one innings away. Kohli, I mean, once he's back, we know what he's capable of. But the thing about Pujara is he has never really done well in England. Apart from that one innings here and one innings there, Pujara has not done. Pujara has done well in Australia.
Yeah.
Now, doing well in Australia and doing well in England are not the same. You need different kinds of approaches. I would still back Pujara more so because, I mean, I know Rohit and Rahul will, I mean, have looked good. They have impressed. They put on a decent partnership in the first innings. But still, if something happens, I would still back Pujara ahead of the others at number 3. Rahane as well. Rahane, as I said, I mean, it's slightly infuriating. Every time you feel, okay, this is Rahane, this is the turnaround 100 for Rahane. He gets a big innings, he gets 100, and then he suddenly loses form again. And this keeps happening. There has to be some level of consistency, and over the past 2.5 years, the consistency has not been there from Pujara or Rahane. Pujara had that outstanding series in Australia, but since then, that one big series has not happened. I know that is true for Kohli as well, but Kohli has had so many big series in the past that, I mean, it is still some time before we actually take that. About Ashwin at number 6, I think that is. I would rather pick Ashwin ahead of Shardul and pick that extra batter. If we indeed need an extra batter, we now have 3 fit batters: Shaw, Agarwal, and Surya Kumar Yadav in the. I mean, ready to play. I think Shaw and Yadav will be fit for the next test.
Third,
No,
I think
no,
they'll
no.
be playing from
Third
third
test.
test.
So at
Third
least
test,
they'll
yeah.
have Mayank.
But I think they won't change the combination at Lords.
No, I also
think
don't.
so.
Yeah.
For Lords, they won't.
Just within a single game, I think it will be too early to judge any of the players. Yeah. And it's a good bit that you know right now we're in a space that the combination, as we are talking about, 3 fast bowlers, 2 spinners, or 4 pacers, 1 spinner. All of these kind of debates are taking place in the Indian cricket circle, whereas in the past we have seen trips where we were talking about how to get an extra bowler in because someone or the other has gotten injured, and there we are 1-0 or 2-0 behind in the series, trying to make a comeback, and we don't have enough resources to. So I think it's a good problem to have there. But now let's talk about the hosts. There were signs that the openers maybe will struggle going into this series, seeing what the New Zealand Pacers did just when the series began. Rory Burns, I mean, he was the only ray of hope as such, as far as the batting department was concerned for England. But then a lot of those hopes spins down on the captain, and he performed exceedingly well in this Test match, didn't he?
Yes, of course. I mean, he led from the front, and he was under pressure. He was Joe Root was under pressure after his defeat against England, and going into this series. Or there are all the talks in the British media that India will just roll over England, and so Joe Root led from the front in both innings, and probably he is the only one who is capable of scoring runs against this Indian team, apart from the tail, of course. So I guess, he needs a big series before the Ashes, because there has been a lot of talk about Joe Root being a very, not the kind of captain probably England need at the highest level. Also, as a batsman, after that has double 100 against Chennai, he struggled in India. He had a pretty average series against New Zealand as well. So overall, Joe Root was under pressure, and this probably, both the knocks what we have seen in Nottingham. Hopefully, that will, keep him back in the grooves. So I guess for Joe Root, and also as a batsman, when you are confident, then your captaincy matures as well, so that can have an effect in his leadership as well. Also
Abhishek, this again talking about India's experiences in England in the past. These are the kind of things that we were used to as Indian fans. One player, all the hopes pinned on him, probably the captain, and now England facing that at home against an Indian bowling lineup which is not going to give you any chance, any breathing space. They do need to deliver, especially the two openers. What were your observations as far as Sibley and Burns were concerned in this first test?
I thought Shami and Bumrah bowled exceedingly well in the first innings. You may criticize Sibley and Burns, but it was I would have loved to see any opening pair do well against that kind of bowling.
Yeah.
So we can be critical about them, but
Yeah,
I mean, they definitely deserve more chances.
they were right on the marks, right
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
first over of the day. Both Sami and Bumrah were
It
hitting
was
the right areas.
Just the fourth ball when Bumrah picked Burns in the first day.
It was superb bowling. I mean,
Yeah.
see, we may keep glorifying the batsman, but at the end of the day, it's the bowler who decides the course of the action. The batter simply responds to the bowling.
Yeah.
This is their format.
it's-
This is the format where fast
But do you
bowlers
think
run
the
the
second
streets.
innings, England's performance in the second innings, can be a turnaround for them?
Joe Roots can be. I mean, he scored.
Not for the rest of the batting
They
lineup.
I like their approach in the second innings better than their approach in
Yeah.
the first innings.
Yes.
They were more keen on
Counter-attacking.
playing shots. Yes.
Yeah. So
Even
someone
with
like
Bairstow
Josh
and
Butler can
yeah.
be, someone like Josh Butler and Johnny Bairstow can be crucial going into the, in the latter half of the series. Josh Butler, I mean, I think he was brilliantly walked out in the first innings. So I think Josh Butler was a bit unlucky in this test match as a batsman. He got a couple of beauties, of course. I mean.
If you play against Bumrah and Shami, you'll keep getting beauties. There's no way. There's no second best.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to keep playing against them in the quality attack for the rest of the series. And even Sam Curran, for that matter. I mean, there was a bit of counter-attacking display from him. Even in the first innings, when he had the tail with him, didn't give up. Really was taking it to the Indian bowlers. And
Sam Curran loves the Indian bowling lineup. Sam Curran loves the Indian bowling lineup.
He said that going into the series that he knows a couple of them how they bowl, and a couple of them were playing in this test as well. But bowling as well.
I mean, this is England's good practice. 9 test matches against India before the Ashes. I think they will prepare them well for the Ashes, I guess, this Indian lineup.
Yeah, and the narrative in England, because the media being so vocal about how things go by, the narrative right from February, right from that India tour, from that England tour of India, has been there you are playing against the number one side, the World Test champions, in the summer, against the number two side, and yet you're only giving importance to a certain series, which is of course historically big, but then these are the kind of opportunities you will not get again, and these are the kind of opportunities you may need to make the most of. So, of course, the narrative going in the direction that England should focus more against these new superpowers in world of Test cricket.
See, in 2021, the Ashes basically decides who gets third place in the World Test Championship.
This is a very good
That's what it
headline.
is.
I think that's what we're going to use. But can you further elaborate on that?
I mean, neither Australia nor England. I mean, India have beaten Australia in Australia. India. I mean, the British media are saying India are the better side of the two. Not even the Indian media.
Yeah.
And between India and England. So how is England versus Australia a battle for supremacy? I'm aware of the history. I'm aware of the legacy, but that legacy is often a huge part of the substantial part of that legacy is from an era when there were only three test countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, in England used to be the center of world cricket. England didn't. I mean, India and West Indies and New Zealand were granted full membership status much later because England wanted it that way. So they were the ones controlling history. So if they were the ones controlling history, they can't expect cricket fans of 2021, where England is no longer the powerhouse of, the center of cricket, to accept things the same way. The focus has shifted. But one thing we have to give it to them: the Ashes is marketed superbly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no doubt about that. It is probably the best marketed Test series.
Yeah. That's true.
Probably a thing or two for a few of the boards to look in there, but yeah, we're going to leave that there. But with the bowling for this England team, Jimmy Anderson, of course, being the big threat at first ball dismissal of Virat Kohli, and it just had the media on its heads. I mean, that was what we were waiting for. Both of them were asked this question going into the series, Jimmy Anderson and Virat Kohli, how they've prepped up against each other. And they gave their own responses in their own manner. But that first ball dismissal, it will light the fire inside Virat Kohli.
See, if you ask me, I would prefer a batter to get out first ball rather than struggle for half an hour and score a 30-minute two. A first ball is just, one ball that he failed to control. Just one ball.
Yeah.
That is probably more preferred. This is probably better than half an hour struggle.
So
it
do you
looks
think that
bad
will be better for him as a morale, as far as the morale side of things is concerned, going into this series?
A first ball duck is never a morale booster.
No. I'm talking about in comparison to a 38-minute struggle and then scoring two. What is better for the morale going into a series?
It's probably, if you ask me, a first ball duck probably hurts them less rather than struggling for 30-40 minutes and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because you know that you have played poorly for 30-40 minutes. And here you know that you played poorly for one ball. That can happen to anyone. On another day, that catch might have been dropped, or the catch might have, the edge might have flown, gone anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham 2018.
Yeah. On another
Kohli
day,
was dropped.
something else. It was just one ball that Kohli did not play the way he would have liked to.
Yes.
Yeah. There's certainly a lot more to look into this rivalry in the next 4 Test matches.
Yes.
But talking about Anderson, is he playing his last home Test series?
This has been raised several times. We have thought several
We raised
times.
it. We raised
Yeah.
it in the preview as well.
Remember 2019 Ashes when when Australia toured England, Jofra Archer arrived. The Anderson got an injury. The cricket fraternity started discussing that Anderson's end might be near. And here we are, 2 years later, discussing again whether this is Anderson's next series. For all you know, he may feature in the 2023 Ashes as well, opening bowling for England. He doesn't seem to age.
Doesn't seem to at all.
In fact,
he's
he
the
has
only
not-
cricketer I think who has played in 2003 World Cup currently who is active, internationally in international cricket. Or I think did Gale play? I can't remember. Whether.
Gale definitely did. If you think you may come across someone here or there, Harbhajan Singh is still active, by the way.
Yeah, he is. In fact, he featured in the IPL as well. And that's the thing, right? For a bowler, it's a completely different thing altogether. It's a completely different game, and especially for a bowler who's featuring in test matches, who's featuring in that amounts of test matches. Jofra Archer,
The
by the way, has
professor
been
is there.
injured.
The professor is there. Mohammad Hafiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the bowling counts, Sandipan, I also wanted to come to you to ask about Holly Robinson because he supported Anderson pretty well. Went for a few runs, was targeted by the Indian batters, of course, but took wickets, which was essential in this test match.
Yes, he can bowl those hard balls. His length is not typically an English length. Otherwise, he just wants to come in and would like to hit the pitch hard. So I guess Ollie Robinson, and he's a decent enough batsman down the order as well. So he adds a lot of value in this team. And I think for Lords, what I believe that probably they will drop Stuart Broad and play Mark Wood. So they will play another similar kind of a bowler. They want to check what should I say? They want to play those hit the deck kind of bowlers against India. I think these off late we have seen these hit the deck bowlers have done well against the Indian lineup. I mean, I can take the example of Kyle Jamieson. So I think England is has followed in England's recent record against these bowlers, and they are putting up the strategy on that basis. So probably we'll see Mark Wood playing ahead of Stuart Broad at Lords.
How can you read someone asking you a question when I haven't even put on screen? Because that was our next question. Do you see Mark Wood coming in for Sam Curran? Now, that's very exciting, of course, but I cannot participate in this discussion clearly because of a certain player featuring. You have to answer this on your own, Sandipan. Go ahead.
I have said that probably Mark Wood will play ahead of Stuart Broad at Lords.
It will depend on what the Lord's pitch is like because England may go in with a spinner as well. Again, it will depend entirely on the pitch.
Yeah.
It
will be a typical Lord's wicket, a bit of
because there is still no rain prediction in London.
Yeah.
As at this point, so the pitch may be dry. I don't know. I mean, it may be a typical Lord's pitch. It may turn. It may. I mean, I think this will depend on the pitch. So England may go in with that spinner.
Leach.
As far
because
as London,
you don't want to land up on a relatively flat wicket with 4 fast bowlers.
But I think, Abhishek, I would like to ask you here something which which I have noticed of late, that why is Indian batsmen struggle against these, at least recent times, we have seen struggling against these hit the deck kind of bowlers.
Everyone struggles against hit the deck bowlers.
No, especially I have seen that
tall fast bowlers getting the ball to bounce off a length at pace.
Yeah.
Everyone will struggle against them if they are accurate, of course. Everyone will struggle.
I mean, Kyle Jamieson, of course.
Jamieson has done well against everyone. They will do well against everyone. Robinson also did well against New Zealand.
But India never struggled against Harbison.
See, in the Harmison era, I'll tell you, the pitches were relatively flatter, and Harmison, India uh, did not get Harmison at his in his most dangerous form. In
Yeah.
2002, he was just a newcomer.
Yeah.
I mean,
2007 he played, I guess.
yeah, I mean, in the Harmison of 2004, 2005, that is what India never had to. That is someone India never faced.
Yeah. But I have never seen India struggle against Mitchell Johnson a lot. I mean, obviously Mitchell Johnson did well against India, but not
Mitchell
like
Johnson,
what
Mitchell Johnson did well against India at home.
I mean. He was not as threatening as he was in the Ashes, in that famous Ashes, I guess.
No, Mitchell Johnson. I'll tell you, Mitchell Johnson had exactly two remarkable seasons: 2008-9 in Australia and South Africa, and
Yeah.
2013-14 in Australia and South Africa. Outside that,
Yeah.
his bowling has not been that extraordinary. If you look at the records,
Yeah,
he
and
has
and
been
the,
he has been good. He has been, but he has never reached the heights of those two seasons. Those two seasons in Australia and South Africa. Those were phenomenal seasons. He has been good, but not that good.
Probably what I thought and what I think, I mean, believe that probably some of the Indian batsmen tend to have a tendency of coming onto the front foot early. So their natural movement is on the front foot. That's why probably they sometimes struggle to adjust against these hit the dead kind of bowlers compared to the swing bowlers.
Probably, but see, if a tall fast bowler can get bounce off a good length all day, if he is accurate and he can extract that bounce at pace, he'll trouble any batsman. Any,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it won't. I mean, that makes him a dangerous bowler. If you look
Yeah,
at
I mean,
Jamison's record, Jamison has done well against every team.
yeah, unless you are someone like Joe Root, whose natural movement is on the back foot, or maybe someone like someone of that note whose natural movement is on the back foot.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it depends on how long you can sustain that kind. I mean, a tall, accurate fast bowler is a captain's dream.
I hope I could say that I agree with that statement 100% because, yeah, my school captains didn't really find me a dream, but that's a different discussion. Let's not go there. So we talked about how the conditions were, the weather was, and it's clearly not just a good game to predict how the weather is going to be in London as well, because in England it just rains, and when it rains, and I remember Sandipan tweeting on day two, perhaps that today there might be no play as per the weather conditions, as per how the weather departments were predicting. But then within 15 minutes, we had the players on the pitch, and that's how it goes. So, yeah, final bit. How? How do we go ahead with this nice issue in cricket? I mean, our closed stadiums, the cathedrals that we have seen in
Yeah.
football, a way through, especially when we talk about weather dominating how the bowlers are going to bowl in a test match.
I mean,
Let it be
ICC has
there.
shown.
Let it be there.
Let it be there means let the rain be there.
Yeah, that's okay. Only 14% of all test matches have been drawn over the past 6 years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
out of seven. That's okay. Test matches.
And
Oh,
See, in the past 6 years, a wicket falls every 60 balls. So 36 wickets fall inside 4 days. That is enough for a test match. I'm talking 4 days, not even 5 days.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it is very
yeah.
likely that a test match will get over inside 4 days, let alone 5 days. It's okay. I mean, on an average, it does.
But
do you
they can
think we could
have
keep
reserve days for Test cricket as well, right? Like we have
reserve
So
seen in
day
the
that
World
or
Test.
reserve days? And that's the question. Reserve day or
Reserve
reserve
day, day.
days?
Of course, reserve day, reserve day.
that'll see. The thing is, a reserve day is not merely one day of cricket. It is not the 1940s were only the players had to turn up. Right now, there is an entire ecosystem. I mean, including readjustment of a COVID bubble
Yeah.
Yeah.
in entire city, and that logistics, travel of the media, travel of the TV, everything needs to. If you really want, if we really want tests to get decided, start them half an hour earlier, get that extra half an hour for 4 days. That will give you
Yeah.
28 to 30 extra overs. That is the equivalent of one session. So that is probably a better option. Half an hour extra per day. Lunch and tea combined for 1 hour. Maybe bring that down to 45 minutes. Make both intervals 20 minutes, 20 minutes. That will give you 20 minutes a day extra, and so 5 overs a day. So that is another 25 overs in the test match. So yeah, I mean, that is a kind of adjustment I would prefer than an extra day. Someone has asked her for a retractable roof. Of course, a retractable roof is a viable option. It is commercially probably going to be very expensive. Um, it is feasible in, say, India, or the richest board. It is feasible in Australia, in England, but not all boards are that rich. We have to keep that in
Yeah.
mind. If we plan on implementing one solution, it has to be something all boards can afford and all
Yeah.
grounds can afford, because you can't have it randomly. It may rain in some other country as well that can't afford it. The thing is, one thing I feel very passionately about, cricket is more dependent on home conditions than on weather, on home condition. When I
Yeah.
say home conditions, I mean weather, I mean soil, I mean everything. Whether that is good or bad is debatable, but that is what makes but the fact that it depends on conditions so much, is one of the things that makes cricket unique. It is a characteristic feature, and I would rather have the matches different from one another. A
Yeah.
test match with a cloud cover and a cloud cover at Lords should not be the same as a test match in a sun-baked ground at, say, Sabina Park, a hard sun-baked ground, or a ground, crumbling in heat, say, in Ahmedabad. So they are different conditions, and the
Yeah.
ability to adapt to different conditions is what makes a cricketer great.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with taking away this variety in conditions away. Cricket has been diverse in terms of conditions, so I would want that diversity to be there. Retractable roof is of course an option, but weather is a part of cricket. In no other sport, in no other mainstream sport, does weather play a part as important as this. And strategies are built around cricket, declarations, winning the toss and choosing what to do, team combinations, all these depend on conditions, weather conditions, and that makes cricket unique, and I'm not comfortable with giving that away.
Very smartly there.
But
Very, very smartly there. You put in the mention of crumbling with Ahmedabad. That was nice.
I
I mean,
think I
of
think
course, I mean,
one
New England
country
skills.
one country needs to find this solution is probably Ireland, because
Yes,
they get
Ireland
only,
has to. Yes,
yeah, I mean, they get only 65 days of sun non-raining days in an entire year. So I guess that's, so whenever there is a test match, you can expect that it will be raining there. So Ireland has to find some solution. Otherwise, they can't play test cricket at home.
Some big, heavy discussions for the future as well. And that's what we're going to have here. And by the way, I think that might be it for us because our producer has been signaling yet again. How many snippets do you want? But that's it. That's I think it for the first test match. We'll be back here for the second test match, previewing just a day before when it begins, how the things are going to go. And you can stay tuned to Cricket News for a lot more till then. Excitingly, we have something big coming up. You must have heard Abhishek Das' laptop clicking in between. He has something big for you by the end of the day. So, yeah, stay tuned to our website for that. Stay tuned to our social media handles. Thank you so much, gents, for joining us. I hope you have a good day, and I hope we are here talking about the second test match with the same enthusiasm as we have for the first. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
yeah,
joining
of
us.
course.
And thanks to our viewers as well for everything about cricket. Stay tuned to Cricket News.